Shabbat Shalom, sisters. Today we are going to talk about keeping the Shabbat according to the pattern of creation in Genesis. We're going to walk through Genesis and we're going to go over the scriptures line by line to see what was Yah's work, what did Yah rest from, what was man's work, and what he should be resting from. So let's begin. We're going to start in, of course, Genesis. All right, we're going to start Genesis chapter 1, and we'll just start at 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And Elohim saw the light that it was good, and Elohim divided the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So here we see what he did on the first day. Let's keep going. We're at verse 6. And Elohim said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the water." And Elohim made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament of the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And Elohim called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. That's what he did on the second day. We're going to keep on moving. We're at verse 9. And Elohim said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and gathered together, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, and after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. So that's all he did on the third day. Let's keep going. And Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from light, from to divide the day from night." I'm sorry, y'all, I can't read today. "And let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And Elohim set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from darkness. Excuse me. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So this is what he did the fourth day. And Elohim said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that have life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." And Elohim created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. So we're at day 5, and we're showing what he did on day 5. We've been through day 1, and we're now at day 5. We're moving on. We're on verse 24. And Elohim said, Let the earth bring forth the living creatures after his kind, cattle and creeping things, and the beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And Elohim made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the earth, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his image. In the image of Elohim created he man. He him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over everything that moveth upon the earth. And Elohim said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, where there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning was the 6th day. So let's go back up to verse 28, and let's go do some word checking. Let's look at subdue and see what this means. Uh-oh. Hold up. Oh, it's just giving a cross reference. And it says 1 Corinthians 9:27. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. I wonder why we can't click on this to get the definition. Okay, let's click on dominion. To tread, subjugate, to crumble off, have dominion, prevail against. Let's go down to the Brown Driver Briggs. To rule, have dominion. So basically, Adam was put in power. He was the head of over everything. So we see um, verse 1 through 6, or day 1 through 6, I'm sorry. Each day a specific work was completed. You can also see that before day 6, day 5 up to day 1, everything he created was for man. Um, so what when I read this, one of the first things that came to my mind about the sun, moon, and stars when he created it, and it tells you what it's for. Let's go back up real fast and let's find it. Um, let's see. Okay, here we go. Verse 14. And Elohim said, Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. So it's telling you here exactly what the purpose of the sun and the moon and the stars were for. And you see today, we still have the sun, the moon, and the stars for signs, for seasons, for days, for years. Um, this here spoke out to me that we're still, how some people say we're not supposed to be keeping the feast because we're not in the land, blah, 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 blah. But the sun, the moon, the stars is still there to tell us when, to give us the signs, to tell us the seasons, the years and the days, so on and so forth. So to me, that's still there. So I'm a firm believer in still keeping the feast of Yahweh because everything that He created for us to be able to tell when they were is still there. What will we need? Well, it's for other reasons as well too. That had other purposes, but that's what spoke to me when I read that. Um, but like I was saying, from day 5 up to day 1, everything He created was for man. Dry land, the seas with the sea creatures, the grass, the herbs, the fruit trees, the lights in the firmament. He divided the waters above from the waters below so that we could live here on earth. And then He gave man dominion over it on day 6 after He created him. Um, he gave him dominion over everything that He created. Adam is supposed to be at the top, not like we are today, where we can't walk outside and live amongst bears, really, for real. I mean, you can, but imagine, like you don't have dominion over them today because of the sin that's on the earth. Like the animals don't act the way that they act, that they're supposed to act. They've been spliced, you know, corrupted. For instance, an example of that would be like a liger. There's no telling what these animals look like in the beginning because of sin in the earth and man corrupting Yah's creation through sin. So we see what Yah's work was. Yah's work was creating everything for man, and He rested. And as we're going to go to the next chapter, we're going to go over to chapter 2. It's going to tell you what He rested from. We're at Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, all of the host of them. On the seventh day, Elohim ended His work which He made, and He rested on the seventh day from all His work which He made. He rested from creating everything Adam needed. He rested from that. We're at verse 3. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all His work which Elohim created and made. So verses 1 through 3 are telling you what He rested from. So we see He rested from creation. Now we're going to figure out what was specifically, what does the scriptures, not what do we say or what do we think. Let's see what the scriptures tell us was man's work. So we're going to go to, still in the same chapter, we're going to go down to verse 15. Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. And Yahweh, now you see here, we're saying His name. And Yahweh, Elohim, took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. This was what Adam was supposed to be doing for 6 days, dressing and keeping everything Yah created and gave him dominion over. Adam was in charge of everything. Adam was in charge of keeping everything the exact same way Yah created it, as Yah created it. Adam messed up, as we know. Number one, of course, we know Eve did what she did, talked Adam into doing it. And instead of Adam being righteous and saying, no, Eve, we ain't doing that. That's not right. We know it's wrong because Adam knew, even he heard it firsthand from Yahweh. We're not supposed to be doing this. He did it anyways. He listened to her. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go and we're going to look at Adam's curse. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to start at 17. Unto Adam he said, this is what Yahweh said to Adam, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eating of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. Okay, the ground wasn't cursed at first. Adam had it made. Everything was in perfection because there was no sin. We, as women and men, corrupt everything. It's kind of like how do I explain it? Something that you get out of sync and it messes up everything else. That's what Adam did by sinning. He corrupted everything that Yah had created in just that one sinful act. So where were we? Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all thy days of thy life. So now everything that Yah created, um, all that he created for him to eat, the trees, the herbs, so on and so forth. Now it's cursed, and in sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy lives. So verse 18, thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it was thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. So now we see Adam made it super hard for himself and even us today, even though we're not farmers as we should be. Even if you are a farmer, if you know farmers or you know people that garden or work on the land, I'll give you an example. If you ever seen a rose bush, you think it's beautiful, you better have some serious pest resistant gloves when you're dealing with rose bushes because of the thorns, and it's bad. And even on the younger branches, like new branches that grow before the thorns get really, really big where you can visually see them thorns start out as little bitty little prickers. And if you ever get them stuck in your fingers, I could never imagine somebody falling into a rose bush. It would be pure torment. Especially the big thorns are bad, but it'd be the little ones because you can't see them. They're even worse than splinters. You cannot see those little thorns in your body. You can't see them, and it's hard to get them out. So that's my first example of like thorns and thistles and how the ground was cursed. Um, there's probably a lot of other plants. I usually, me personally, I don't like plants like that. I like plants that I can just go snip, snip, snip. Or even, I'll give you one, cucumber plants. They have this little fuzzy, um, sticky stuff that sticks into your finger sometimes too. And I guess I'm allergic to it. And when it gets on my hands, if I get it anywhere else, it irritates my skin. Just things like that. But imagine having to live outside and deal with this stuff 24/7. Even the animals, not really having dominion over the animals. Like, can you imagine having dominion over a bear or even wild boars? Even though people say they're unclean or whatever, they are unclean, but they serve a purpose. There's nothing wrong with having them as pets. You can use them to clean up, other dead animals, trash, whatever. Just like like goats eat trash, not so much as like pigs, but they'll eat up your dead grass clippings, so on and so forth. So, and we're also going to go down to 23. And we're going to show you what Yah did after he gave him his curse. Verse 23. Therefore, Yahweh Elohim sent him forth from the Garden of Eden. So he sent him out of the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he sent him somewhere else to till the ground. He got taken out of paradise and just went out, where we are today. So he drove out man and placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So the Garden of Eden is protected. Nobody can come in. So we see man's work, what man's work was to do. Exactly, is a how do I say it? Um, Yah's work was creating what man needed. Man's work reflected from his work because he kept everything that Yah um, made, and he was supposed to keep it, keep everything in line and in order and in the same condition. Just if you give somebody something, you expect them to keep it exactly how you made it, especially like a craft or something. If I give you reef, I expect it to look exactly how I gave it to you. That's not as serious as what y'all gave Adam, but you guys get where I'm going at. So we established y'all's work, what y'all rested from, man's work, and what man is to rest from. Man is to rest from physically, on a physical level, sustaining life. So for Adam, that's keeping the land, keeping the sheep, keeping his garden. Adam lived at the pure state. He lived off the land. He had everything there he needed. He just had to keep it. He had to keep his, water his cucumber plants, water all his food, feed all his animals, so on and so forth. Now today, for instance, I'm a QC manager. My husband, he's in charge of the shipping department. We do that even though we work 5 days a week. That's our way of sustaining what we have to live. That's what pays our bills. That's what, buys us groceries. That's what buys us clothes. That's what buys us hair products, lotion, cleaning supplies. Everything that we need to live comes from our job. Just like with Adam, everything that he did, he ate from, he bathed from, whatever. Everything he did was to sustain his physical life. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some examples of people in the scriptures breaking the Sabbath. Now, all these scriptures are in the 66. I was going to add in here a, I'm not going to say a breakdown or a bust down or of Jubilees, but I feel like because of the purpose that I feel like I'm walking in, I don't want to tell you everything. I'd rather give you the tools to be able to see it for yourself than for you to just listen to me tell you exactly what it is, and then you believe. Not saying you believe what I say, because I'm sure most people are going to go read it for themselves, but it would be like me influencing your way of thinking. Like, I'll give you an example of that in my everyday life. I don't like forcing my expectations as far as, like, I have a daughter. She's 17. She's about to graduate. She's going to the University of Kentucky. But I don't want to say to her, well, I want you to do this, or I want you to do that, or I want you to do this, because I don't want to influence her in a way where she's doing things just because that's what I want her to do. Of course, she knows to do right from wrong. That yes, I do tell her right from wrong. But if it's just my opinion or if it's just the way I see it, I don't like to tell them my opinions on things because I don't want them to look at certain things in life from my eyes. I want them to see it and I want them to be able to make the call from themselves. I gave them everything else that they need to judge a righteous judgment as far as, doing right from wrong, um, going to school, doing whatever, the basic level of things that as a parent you're supposed to do. But I don't want to force my opinions on life and what I think they should do with the choices that they have or go to college. For instance, my son didn't go to college. He graduated and he came to work where I work at. And he's been thriving. I just, told him one day, "You want a job?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." But before that, I didn't tell him, "Oh, you have to go to college," or "I'm going to be disappointed in you," or "Why come you're not doing this the way?" No, I don't. I don't do that. So that's why I felt like I can talk about jubilees and I can tell you that it needs to be looked at. We need to look at it. We need to go over the scriptures and see, hey, this is going against some of the things that are in the Torah. Like the Torah didn't say this, or stuff like that. So I'm just going to keep on pushing through the 66. So we're going to start at Exodus 16. Let's go down to Exodus, and we're going to go to 16, and we're going to start at verse 22. All right. Exodus 16, verse 22. And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man, and all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. He said unto them, This is that which Yahweh hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Shabbat unto Yahweh. Bake that which ye bake today, and see that which ye will see. And that which remaineth over, lay up for you to be kept until the morning. He's telling you, bake it today, or seethe it today. However if you're gonna bake it. If you're gonna seethe it. Whichever one, do it today, and eat the leftovers until the morning. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither was there worms therein. And Moses said, Eat that today, for today is the Shabbat unto Yahweh. Today ye shall not find it in the field. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the seventh day, which is the Shabbat, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the seventh day for to gather, and they found none. And Yahweh said unto Moses, How long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for that Yahweh hath given you the Sabbath. Therefore he given you on the sixth day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day. And he's saying, Let no man go out of his place to gather the manna. Not you got to stay in there, but don't be going out there gathering it on the seventh day because there's none out there. So the people rested on the seventh day. We see here would be an example of them even still just going out. Like, why he said, don't, there's going to be none. Why are y'all going out here to look for some? Why didn't y'all cook it the day before or bake it and see that it do what you had to do to it the day before? Because on this day, you could gather as much, double as much or whatever as the day before, but you didn't do it. So you out here on the seventh day where I told you not going to be any, and you looking for some. So, and then he said, how How long refuse ye to keep my commandments? The commandment was, don't go out there on the seventh day looking to gather any manna because there isn't any. So now we're going to go to Exodus. We're still in this same chapter, and we're going to go down to. No, we're in. I'm sorry. We're in chapter 20, and we're at verse 8. And this is the Ten Commandments. We're going to start at the fourth commandment, verse 8. This is the fourth commandment. Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. This isn't an example of them breaking the Sabbath, but I wanted you guys to see what he's saying in here. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all that work. And this is after they have been, gathering the manna and doing it for a minute. And he's just going over it again. He's going over all the commandments again. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. The seventh day is the seventh day of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work. And he's going to tell you who is not supposed to do it and what animals ain't supposed to do it. Because you're using your animals to work on your land. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger within their gates. Let's see. Let me click on work, what it says. I'm going to go straight down to the Brown Driver Briggs. Because like I told y'all once before, the punctuation when I'm reading, I'm automatically thinking, what is this? What does this mean? What does this mean? It's too much for me sometimes. And I have to take my time, and I don't want to waste y'all's time listening to me think of what the punctuation means. So the Brown Driver Briggs definition says occupation, work, business, occupation, business, property, work, something done or made, workmanship, service, use, public business. And here it says political or religious. I think there was another word that I wanted you to see. Okay, so we're going to go down to verse 11. So he just went over not to work, who's not to work, not even your cattle, nor your strangers within your gate. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So you see, he goes back over everything that he made Adam that he needed. And this was after he went over what you're not supposed to do. Now we're going to go and we're going to look in Numbers. Numbers 15, 32. That's where we're going to start at, is 32. Numbers 15, 32. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. Here we go. He's gathering sticks upon the Sabbath day. Of course, you can assume he's um, gathering sticks to make a fire, to cook, to heat his tent, to do something he ain't supposed to be doing on the Sabbath. And they found him gathering sticks. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let's start back at 32. We'll start all over again. While the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation. And they put him inward, because it was not declared what should be done to him. And Yahweh the Elohim said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died, as Yahweh commanded Moses. Breaking the Sabbath is not it was death, the physical death. Now we're going to go to Nehemiah. And before we go there, the the first two that we went over, what they were doing was breaking the Sabbath to eat. He was gathering sticks, I'm assuming, for the second one, I'm assuming, to build a fire to eat, to cook. That's an assumption. That one's assumption. But we know in the Exodus 16, they were going outside to gather manna, and there was none. It says it in it that one says it in the scriptures. But the guy was gathering sticks to do something that he knew he wasn't supposed to do, and he died. So we're going to Nehemiah 13, and we're going to verse 15. All right, we're going to read down to 18. So Nehemiah 13, verse 15. In those days saw I in Judah some treading wine presses on Shabbat, and bringing in sheaves and ladings, asses, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens. Let's look at this word burden. Burden, specifically, tribe or abstractly. Let's go down to the bearing, burden. I'm sorry, lifting, uplifting that to which the soul lifts itself up, bearing, carrying, tribute, that which is carried or brought or borne, utterance, oracle, burden. Okay. All manner of burdens which they brought unto Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So we see they're working. They are working, and they're bringing in the wine press so they can press wine to sell it. They're bringing in sheaves, ladings, asses, wine, grapes, figs, all manner of burdens which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals. So they're selling these victuals. So let's go up here and see what the so he warned and provisions. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein. So these were people that weren't Israelites, which brought fish and all manners of ware, merchandise, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. And you see, they're working on the Sabbath. And at first, I was wondering, like, well, what's so bad about like buying and selling? Well, and that's somebody's occupation. That's somebody's way of sustaining life. Selling is somebody's way, whatever it is. If it's wine, if it's figs, just like today, I make cups, I make T-shirts, I make wreaths. There's a lot of stuff that I make. Even if I have already made them and I take them somewhere, I still got to sit there. Um, I still got to get all my merchandise there. Even if I set it up the day before, I'm still working. I'm still sustaining life by making money on this day instead of resting and enjoying what I did the first 6 days. I should be resting and enjoying everything that Yahweh gave me um, the other 6 days. And that's why you can see here, 'cause I really couldn't find a scripture that explained, you know, why this was wrong. Of course, you can type in Chat GTP or you can Google it, and they have their explanations. But I like to get my explanations from the scriptures. If the scriptures don't say it, then it's just an assumption. But as we can see here in verse 15, you see these people are working. They're bringing in the wine, treading wine presses. The work that they did was physically hard. Even cooking back then was physically hard. So we see that these people are still working to sell stuff. They're still trying to make money to sustain life. And there were other people that weren't Israelites that were coming in selling other stuff to the people. And if you think about it, um, probably back then, now today, you know how we grew up going shopping on Saturday, and that was a thing. We go out to breakfast and then go shopping and go catch all the sales. That's where, like, we have a little dollar store here where I live at, and their biggest sales are, especially the ones where they give you coupons where you get $5 off or 50% off. The beginning of the sales always on Saturday, but those workers have to work on that Saturday to be able to sell you stuff on the Saturday. So let's see. We're at verse 17. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day? Let's see. Excuse me. To profane, defile, pollute, desecrate. It says begin. To profane oneself, defile oneself, pollute oneself. Ritual. It says sexual here, but okay, I guess I can see it. To be polluted, be defiled. Okay, we're at 18. Did not your fathers thus, and did not our Elohim bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? So I believe this is when they were coming back out of a captivity. I'm not sure which one, um, but they were coming out of captivity. We just now got back here, and y'all doing this. Let me go up real fast and see. Okay, that's going to be for another time. I believe it is. Everybody will have to go back and read it. But did not your fathers thus, and did not Elohim bring this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. So we know this is um, sin. They got Yahweh paid them back for doing this. And we're gonna go down to 19 and keep reading and see what else we can find. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should be no burdens be brought in on the Sabbath. So the restrictions in the 66 is no work, and that's Exodus 31:15. No kindling fire, Exodus 35:3. Gathering or labor, Exodus 16:23. And as of course we read here, no in Nehemiah, no buying or selling. Let's go to Exodus 31. 31, 15. 6 days my work be may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Yahweh. Whosoever doth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. Let's look up this one. Perpetual. Long duration, forever, ever, everlasting, evermore, perpetual, old, ancient, world. So this, no matter where you're at, no matter under what circumstances or anything, it's a perpetual covenant forever. All right, now let's look at Exodus 35, and we're going to verse 3. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. All right, Exodus 16:23. Did we read that already? Yeah, we read that. We read that one already. And we went through the ones in Nehemiah. Um, so um to wrap this back around to Jubilees, this is what I'm gonna say. Once you read in Jubilees, and I know me and a sister was talking about making war on the Sabbath. And I asked her where in the Torah, my specific question verbatim was, where in the Torah does it say you can't make war on the Sabbath? And somebody commented with the Jubilee scriptures, and she commented back and she said she specifically asked in the Torah, and the person again replied, Torah means instructions, basically saying that the instructions could be anywhere, but so I need to specify when I say Torah, I mean the first five books, the law of Moses. Where in the law of Moses, when Moses spoke mouth to mouth with Yahweh, where in the Torah does it say that you can't make war on the Sabbath? So if you hear me say Torah, I mean the first five books, the law of Moses. But we're going to go to First Thessalonians. First Thessalonians, and we're going to go to chapter 5, and we're going to go down to verse 21. First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. When you're reading extra biblical books, this is something to keep in mind. You need to be proving all things and holding fast to which is good. And we know there's a scripture that says the law is good. We're also going to look at Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy 4, chapter 4, and we're going to go to verse 2. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 2. Ye shall not ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, anything from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you. So, when you're reading extra biblical books, you need to ask, is it adding unto the word? Is it diminishing anything from the word? Is it in is it a part of the commandments that Yahweh told us to keep, that he commanded us to keep? You need to be asking yourself that. Now we're going to go to Matthew We're going to go to Matthew chapter 15, and we're going to go down to verse 7, and we're going to read down to 9. Now, this is, of course, you see it's in red. This is Yahweh Shai speaking. He says, "Ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, This people draw nigh unto me with their mouths, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandment of men." Is what is being taught in the extra biblical books. We need to be asking ourselves, are these teaching the teachings of the doctrines of men, like Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving? Um, those things are doctrines of men. They made that up from somewhere and then tried to add it to what Yah said. So we need to be asking ourselves those things. I will say in Jubilees 50, it states a lot of things are sin, but this is what Yah says sin is. We're going to go to 1 John, and we're going to go to chapter 3, and we're going to go down to verse 4. Let me make sure I got that right. All right. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth, I can't ever say this word, transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. Where is it at in the law? Because sin is transgression of the law. If there is no law that says this, there's no transgression. So you have not committed sin. I'll give let's see. Where you know can't be intimate with your spouse. Where does it say that in the law? You can't go to war on the Sabbath. Where does that say that in the law? In Jubilees, it states that the Sabbath was only for Israelites. Where does it say that? Because Adam was supposed to keep the Sabbath. That he's the reason why the Sabbath was made. Adam is the well, not the reason, but Yah created the Sabbath for Adam. Adam was supposed to rest on the Sabbath. He created it for Adam. Adam was the very first person. Adam was not an Israelite, not by far an Israelite. So, in order for it to be sin, there has to be a transgression of the law. It's like me and my husband was talking earlier about the microwave. I've heard people say that it's kindling a fire. Where is there a fire in the microwave? The law says that you can't cook. And so the way that I think about it is, okay, for instance, they kept fires going especially during the cold months when it was cold. I don't know how cold it got in the true land. Um, I want to say that in some regions it probably did get cooler than others, but for light, for so on or whatever, and they had, the clay stoves or whatever, and they kept them going because you could keep it going, you just couldn't start it on the Shabbat. But how easy would it be to take let's say you made a pot of stew, just take that pot and set it next to the fire. Or if you take something, wrap it in aluminum foil or however, and you take it and cook it, or not cook it, you take it and heat it up with the sun. Essentially, that's what the microwave's doing. You prepare this food on the Sabbath. The Sabbath does not say that you cannot heat up food. It does not say that you have to eat cold food. It just says you can't cook. So if you made bacon before the sun went down, and the next morning when you get up, if you want to, however you heat it up, as long as you don't start a fire, a physical fire. To eat warm food is not a sin. The sin is everything that he said. He said, no kindling a fire, no work. It's not hard to heat up, to reheat some food up. That's no work. And the Sabbath is supposed to be a delight. It's supposed to be a joy. You're supposed to be enjoying everything that you worked so hard for the other 6 days. You're supposed to be enjoying these things. So to have to, sit and eat cold food. Some people don't like eating cold food. You eat, whether it's sandwiches, cold cuts. You know, imagine if you cook spaghetti. How can you heat that up? Or having to eat cold cuts. You work 6 days to be able to um, eat whatever you want to eat. Why come you can't eat whatever you want to eat? Just as long as you prepared it the day before, or you cooked it the day before, and you're eating leftovers. It's lawful. So let me see what did I get here. Let me see what this one is. Luke. I wrote this down. We're gonna go to Luke. Oh, I think this might be Luke 4. I think this might be. I think this might be. Oh yeah, he's. This is. This don't have nothing. I mean, it does kind of a little bit, but we don't have to go there. So basically, you're going to get your instructions for the Shabbat in the 66. You can look at Genesis for an example. There's probably many, many more other scriptures. This is just what I found so far. Um, what to do and what not to do on the Shabbat. But I will say this: when you're reading, like in Jeremiah and Isaiah, you need to be clicking on those words and see when it says Shabbat, you need to see what. Here, I'll bring this back up. We're going to look and we're going to um, make sure that it is the same word, because they could be talking about what's the word? Let me see. Hold on, let me go here. We're going to look for. Okay, what is it going here? I didn't mean touch points. Okay, here we go. I clicked on the wrong thing. Now it don't come up. Oh, now it wants to act silly. Yeah, you we just need to be looking and making sure it's the same word, because it could be talking about the actual Sabbath. It could be talking about, like for instance, it says in the scriptures when it's talking about um, like the feast of unleavened bread, the first day and the second day is a Sabbath, but that word is different than the seventh day Sabbath. So when we're pulling scriptures, we need to make sure that we are using correct scriptures by making sure they're even talking about the same thing. Um, and if you have the Life Bible app, that's pretty easy. But when you're reading um, in the physical copy, you can't really, you can't click on nothing. And even if you do have the big coordinates, it's going to take you a minute. But I suggest you do it. Um, so basically, this is all that I have. Let me go over my notes real fast and make sure um, that I went over everything. I don't want to leave anything out. But if I did, you can always um, contact me on here or on Facebook, and I will try to um, go over with you what I missed or what you don't understand. So that's basically all that I have. I'm going to end this by saying, stay awake, walk in truth, and let your light shine for the Most High. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, sisters.